Welcome back to the Divested Zealot Response channel, and this is yours truly, your host, the Alpha Black Lion. Go ahead, do us a favor, hit the like button as soon as you come in the room. This is my first time ever doing a live stream, and as you see, I'm in my home. I'm chilling right now. Just turned the heat on, laid back on the couch, and we're going to get right into it. Now, the thing is, you got all of these divestors popping up all over the internet. One in particular that goes by the name of Divested Zealot. Now, she is the one who I chose to name my channel after because she seemed to have the most vitriol for black men. She has a image of a black man hanging from a noose. So because of that, I see how she has no limitations on how far she will go to speak against black men, to the point that she has a picture of a black man hanging from the noose with a little black girl swinging on a tree limb. So when I seen that, I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to start me a channel to go against this Divested Zealot response channel. Now, excuse me, to go against the Divested Zealot channel. Now, let's break down these divestors before we even get into the meat and the potatoes of tonight's subject about ghetto gaggers. Now, these divestors, none of them show their face. And specifically, the one that goes by the name of Divested Zealot. Now, the definition of a zealot is someone who has no constraint about their feelings. They are very rambunctious and outspoken about the way they feel. But when it comes to this Divested Zealot, she cannot say that she is a zealot, because if she was really truly a Divested Zealot, she wouldn't be hiding her face. That's the number one thing. So none of these divestors are zealots, because a zealot is one who does not give a fuck about what anybody thinks about them. They don't have no fear. A zealot is a zealot. A zealot does not hide behind an avatar. So first things first. Secondly, one of the things that these divestors, they want to speak about is how the black man has let down the black race, and how black men are so violent, and how white zaddy take care of them, and the white man is more of a man than the black man. But all of these points that they make are easily refuted. And secondly, these divestors, they can never debunk anything that is coming out of the manosphere. You see, the whole entire divested movement, it started upon black women being spiteful against black men for telling the truth. Black men such as Kevin Samuels specifically. Now, they could never refute any of the talking points of the black men in the manosphere. So instead of creating channels to debunk what we've been saying, instead they decided to go the drastic route, because to them, they felt that black men were exposing the negative behavior of black women before the world. So channels like Divested Zealot popped up in a response, and like Cynthia G, in response to the truth that black men have been saying, the black male voice that for years has been suppressed because the white media is always used to paint a negative depiction of the black man. So here comes along these channels like Divested Zealot and Arrested Him, creating basically racist, stereotypical talking points against the black man. But never, I repeat, never do they refute any of the things that the manosphere say about black female behavior. I want everyone to take a note of that. And the reason why they come out with these extreme talking points is to deflect away from what the manosphere has been saying about the negative behavior of black females. And all of our talking points are legitimate. Now, one of the things that they like to say is, they say, just look at black culture. It's so degrading to black women. And they like to bring up hip hop music. And they say that black men call black females the B word throughout their music. But the reality is, those type of music that degrade women and use the B word, when you listen to the song and when you listen to the context of those songs, not supporting the use of the B word, but many a times those songs are referring to women who fit the character of the B word. Now, these divestors are very hypocritical. For instance, when you go on Divested Zealot, as a matter of fact, if you look in my video log on my channel, you will see I have a snippet. I have a video snippet of Divested Zealot calling her own self a bitch. I have video snippets of other black women on her panel calling each other bitch. So when these divested so-called women like Divested Zealot say something about the black men are degrading black women in their music, then they gotta point the finger at themselves. So Divested Zealot, I know you're gonna see this video. Why is it that you call your own self a bitch? Why is it that you allow women on your panel to call themselves bitches? And we have the receipts as stated on my channel. So when you raise these things up to them, they're deaf, quiet. You can hear a rat piss on cotton because they are hypocrites. So you can't say that black men are solely responsible for the negative display of black women, because you on your own channel refer to yourself as a bitch. So you can't say a black man put a gun to your head and made you call yourself a bitch. You can't do it, Divested Zealot. Now, another thing, they say that black men are very abusive to black women, and they call it out as if black men don't call out black men who are abusive to other black women, as if we don't call it out, because we do. But see, they take it upon themselves to focus on all of the negativity, and they say that in return, the solution is to leave the black community, to divest over to the other side. But the only problem is, on the other side, that's what they specialize in. Them specialize in the negative portrayal of black women. Because for over 20 something years now, let me see, for about 15 years now, there is a site, it's called ghettogaggers.com. For over 15 years, Zaddy, the white man, the very one that they say is such in their favor, he has been running a site upon his internet, which is broadcasted on one of his on his internet service, and it's Zaddy who is given the rights, since these divestors say that black men don't control anything. Okay, we're going to ride with you. So the white man is allowing you to be spit upon, to be pissed upon. The white man is allowing you to have bowls. Now, when I say this, I am not exaggerating. If you ever seen a ghetto gaggers video, they make these black women puke on themselves. Then they take a dog bowl, she vomits in a dog bowl, and they pour it on her head. And then they make her kneel down, open up her mouth, and they literally take a leak. They take a leak in the black woman's mouth, and they piss all over her face. And then they take a bag of flour and throw it upon her. And then they take pictures of her in this shameful position, and they upload the thumbnails of her in this shameful position all over the internet. Now, this may not be a thing that's discussed widely, but it is something that is viewed widely all over the internet. If you go type in ghetto gaggers right now, you can see all of these different porn sites like Xvideos and Pornhub.com, where they actually have snippets from ghetto gaggers. And you can see 10 minutes worth of the video, 20 minutes worth of the video. And even though this is not something that is talked about mainstream, it is mainstream at the same time. Because anyone that's into porn, I guarantee you that's one of the main things they go see. And a lot of these men who are into swirling, these white men, that's why they get with these black women, because they sit back and they look at ghetto gagger videos, and then they say to themselves, after listening to a divested zealot live stream, they say to themselves, you know what? Since these black women think so highly of me, I'm going to go get me one of them because it'll be so easier. And then I'm going to make her perform the same things that I've seen the black women doing on ghettogaggers.com. And that's what they do. That's the type of sex these white men have with these type of swirling black women like ghetto gaggers. Now, the divestors like divested zealot, they can talk all of that garbage that they want to, but the end of the rainbow for divestors is a seat upon ghettogaggers.com. That is the highest seat that a swirler or a divestor can achieve in her lifestyle. Because you notice that on their channels, you hear them talking about sleeping with white men, but you never see no receipts. You don't see no marriages. You don't see no wealth from the white community being passed down to them and their children. You don't see that. So that's how you know it's all cap. And recently, you had one of these divestor channels that go by the name of at Lexus Exodus. She led a campaign for these divestors to sign a petition to get Tina Knowles' channel banned from YouTube. No, not from YouTube, but to get Tina Knowles' docu-series banned. But here's the thing. Not once has Tina Knowles shown a black woman in the light of how black women are shown by white men on ghettogaggers.com. But yet, you don't see any of these divestors using that same energy they had for Tina Knowles to gather up a group of them to sign a petition to get ghettogaggers.com banned. And because they won't do that, that's proof in itself that they are not really, that they do not really have the best interest of black women at hand. That is proof in itself that they are only doing this to be spiteful against black men like myself who tell the truth about what's really going on. Because if they were really concerned about the welfare of black women, you would see them talking about ghettogaggers.com. It's no way in the world this site should still be going for over 15 years and you're not hearing a peeping word from black women. Now, mind you, you do have a few small channels on YouTube that speak about it. But the major channels like the Cynthia G's, the Divested Zealots, all of those various divestment channels, none of them say anything about ghetto gaggers. And on this ghetto gagger website, you have some black women up there that look like they can be age 17, some of them just 18. And you can tell that these women are being exploited. This is something that needs to be thoroughly investigated because it's hard to believe that a woman would sign up for this type of treatment for a measly $500. And you know how I know they get paid $500? Because I actually reached out to one of the black women who appeared on Ghetto Gaggers, and she told me they only paid her $500. And then after the shooting of the scene, they didn't even want to pay her that. So when these divestors say that, oh, white men don't treat black women this way, they are lying. If there were all of these good white men that they claim, then where are all of these good white men at to protest against ghetto gaggers? You know where they are at? Them same white men, they're sitting by their computers with a bottle of lotion, and you know what they are doing as they sit and watch ghetto gaggers. That's exactly where they are. And the divestors are embarrassed from what they see on ghettogaggers.com. That's why they do not even want to speak upon it, because it would be proof that black women have went to the lowest of the low. That's why they do not want to speak upon it, because anyone with access to a computer can go to Ghetto Gaggers and you can pull up not one, not 10, not 20, but hundreds of black females who chose to sign up to be humiliated by the white man. And the reason why they don't look at it as humiliation, because it was the white man doing it to them. And the reason why these divestors like Divested Zealot doesn't look at it as humiliation is because it was the white man doing it. But let a black man say something and she'll do a whole 2-hour live stream upon it. The white man spit in your face, pull out his penis and use your mouth as a toilet bowl, and you don't hear a mumbling word from none of them. They'll make a 2-hour live stream about some crazy deranged black man who was off of his meds, who went and threw fecal matter on a woman, and they'll make a 2-hour live stream and will take the most extreme case of a black man doing something that is very detestable, and they will use that one black man to paint a picture for every black man. But when it comes to Ghetto Gaggers, they don't do the same thing. Now, us men in the manosphere, we could do the same thing if we wanted to. Imagine if we wanted to make a channel just like Divested Zealot. If I wanted to, I could do the same exact thing. Only thing I would do, I could just pull up Ghetto Gaggers. I could have an entire year worth of material based upon ghettogaggers.com alone. It shows everything that we speak about when it comes to the mindset of black females, that slavery mindset that has brought them so low down that they'll sit there and let their slave master take a piss upon their face, literally. And what do their sisters say who pretend that they are so concerned about black women in the black community and that they need to divest? What do they say about it? Not a peeping word. So we're going to keep the pressure upon them until they sign a petition to get ghettogaggers.com banned. I don't want to hear a divestor saying not a mumbling word to me or none of the men who stand for what I stand upon. Because if you want to have honest discussion and want to be taken seriously, then you got to do certain actions that would warrant someone to take you seriously. So these women like Divested Zealot, you don't have black women in your best interest. Because if you did, you would warn them about how white men really get down. You would show them ghetto gaggers. You would sign a petition to get it banned. And here's another thing. Also, when you look on my channel, recently, about 3 weeks ago, you had a white man run up in a church in San Francisco, and it killed up a whole lot of people. He killed his wife. He killed his children, his daughters. But guess what? Not a mumbling word from the divestors. They pretended that incident didn't even take place. But had it been a black man, you know what? They would be talking about it right now. Divested Zealot would be bringing it up on her channel right now. She'll be saying, you see, we got to get away from these men. They kill their own wife and children. But when that same zaddy who they be parading for, when he goes and kills his daughters and his wife, they don't say a word about it. So that just show you that these women are very hypocritical. And they are only doing this so-called divestment movement out of spite. And here's another thing. None of these women are divested. I guarantee you, these women, after they get off of them panels, that very same night, they are sucking a white man's dick and bending over, they are sucking a black man's dick and getting fucked doggy style by a black man. Because these women, they use these channels and they use these avatars as a way to get back at the boyfriend who dumped them, at the multiple baby fathers they had who dumped them. It's because of their piss poor choices in life that they ended up in the position that they are in. But they want to blame black men. But at the end of the day, a woman decides who sleeps with her. At the end of the day, a woman decides who impregnates her. So they don't tell you about the bad choices that they make in men. They'll have you believe that they didn't have no say-so about it, and that all of a sudden they were walking down the street one day and some sorry man just picked them up, took them home, impregnated them, and left her with a child. But that is not reality, and that's not how it goes. See, these black women for years, they have uplifted the thug in the black community. For years, they have praised and worshiped the thug in the black community. For years, they have pumped trap music while they were riding along with their little kids strapped in a car seat in the back seat. For years, us black men in a manosphere have been speaking about how these women smoke weed in front of their children. They twerk in front of their little baby boys. I've seen it myself that smoke weed in front of their daughters. They bring all type of men in and out of their homes in front of their daughters to continue the perpetual cycle of this Jezebel whoredom that plagues the black community. So they don't tell you about their participation in the downfall of the black community. If you listen to their show for 2 hours, they'll have you believe that only black men are sorry. But that is not the case. Many of them have turned down good black men because he didn't have his pants sagging low enough, or because he didn't have no street credibility, or because he didn't have tattoos all down the side of his face like Gucci Man. This is what these younger black females, when they are at the peak of their beauty, that's who they go for. You can tell what type of male that a female desires by the music that she listens to. These women, they get in a sexual mood when they hear trap music. They start winding to the beat because those are the type of men that get them turned on. I've never seen a woman twerk to positive conscious hip hop. But these women in the divestor movement, they pretend that there is not a genre of music of conscious hip hop. The only thing they want to focus on are the type of men that they are into. The type of men that dump them because when in female nature, females will all try to get one particular man. So that's why in a black community, you will have 8 girls in a housing project, all pregnant by one man. And if that one man cheats on one of them with another one of his baby mothers and they turn sour, and then they'll start talking about all black men based upon one drug dealing Pookie and Ray Ray in their neighborhood. Not to mention a lot of these black women, they love to smoke weed. They love to get high. But the divestors, they don't talk about this. A prime example is Lauren Smith Field. And then that Asia Menard. I got videos on both of them on my channel. And the thing that both of those cases have in common, both of these black females were doing drugs. They died with drugs in their system. And not from drugs they got from a black man, but drugs they obtained from a white zaddy. They died from fentanyl overdose. And one of them was choked to death, Asia Menard. And then you had the Lauren Smith Field overdosed and had the murder covered up. But they would tell you that the white man cares so much about them. But those same white men, none of them forced an investigation. Until this day, none of those cases between Asia Menard and Lauren Smith Field, none of them cases have been solved. Not one of them. And none of them divestors reached out to any of them families of those divestors who were murdered. From what I researched, it was black men who reached out to the families. So that should show these women who divest that after you die, those same women that you were on the panels with, hiding behind the avatar, talking all of that shit about black men, when your ass get killed and taken out of here by a white man, it'll be some black man doing a panel about you and reaching out to your family and creating GoFundMes for the slain divestor and for her family. I've seen it with my own eyes We have receipts over here. But none of them divestor channels like Divest.Zealot and Chris Logic and Cynthia G, none of them reach out to the families of those girls who were slain, who were a direct victim to the rhetoric that they spew upon their channels. Divested Zealot, she got plenty of blood from these murder victims dripping from the palms of her greasy hands. And none of them, once them women are put away, none of them donate any money for the funerals of them girls. They don't give them no money to the families. They don't leave no money for the children. Asia Menard had kids. You think any of them divestors put up a GoFundMe to raise money for the children of Asia Menard? No, they didn't. You think any of them put up a GoFundMe to raise money to help cover funeral costs for the funeral of Lawrence Smith Fields? No, they didn't. So that should tell you that they are only doing this out of spite against the truth that men like Kevin Samuels and other men in a manosphere speak on a daily. The very fact that until this day, they haven't signed a petition to put an end to ghetto gaggers as proof they don't care about black women. They only care about getting back at a black man for speaking a truth with some lame talking point that they come up with to try to make black men look bad before the rest of the world. And their main goal is to make younger black females into bitter old bitches like Divested Zealot, an old hag who sits up over there and lies every week to these women, telling them that she is married to a white man. Divested Zealot, if you are married to a white man, I am sitting on the moon right now doing this live stream. I am sitting on the moon right now doing this live stream if Divested Zealot is married to a white man. She is not married to no white man. And here's the thing. The women that are subscribed to her, they don't even demand receipts. This just shows you how gullible and why black women always end up as victims by these white men who they end up falling in and trusting and falling for and trusting because they don't ask for receipts. Just like Divested Zealot, she can lie to them, say that she got kids. You know good and well Divested Zealot does not have no biracial children. You can listen to the tone of her voice. You can even tell by some of the comments that she's made about white people. Because she said things like baloney smelling. I've heard her say it. So that lets you know she's not into white men and she's not married to no white man. She's lying. But see, it's a pimp game. She's scamming them because she realized that this is another way to exploit the black community. So she is one of the lowest of the lowest. She exploit black people no different than white people exploited black people during slavery. She sits back and gets cash apps and patrons on her Patreon. And she, after every show, she say, meet me in my discourse. So basically, she's running a movie theater. They have movie nights and they pay her money for all of this. So she's getting paid to scam black women. And that's why she would never show her face. And then they try to make this excuse and say that the reason why they don't show their face is because they're afraid of some repercussion. Well, no one's done anything to Cynthia G. No one's done anything to, what's the other, a few of them. You got Cynthia G, you got Chrissy. No one's done anything to them. They show their face. So it's not a thing about showing her face, not wanting to show her face out of fear that someone's going to do something to her. The reason why she won't show her face is because she know someone will notice her and say, "You're not married to no white man." Bang! Then the gig will be up. That's why she don't show her face. And another reason is because if she ever showed her face, we would be making memes about her. Because the way that she sounds, you can tell that she's an old, ugly hag. She don't want to show her face because we would make memes and we would say, "Well, see why you're so bitter. You're so unattractive. You're Atlanta man." Now, to the people listening, be honest. When you hear women like Divested Zealot say that they are married to white men and they live in this fabulous life, why is it that you don't never hear a white man in the background? You never hear no children. You never hear. How can a married woman have that much time devoted for a channel and can do live streams every week and have 1,000 women show up and didn't have time to do a discourse? That lets you know that this woman is not married. And then she lie and say, "I've never slept with a black man." And you got women who actually believe this. That woman has slept with plenty of black men in her life. So that's how I know that these divestors are nothing but liars. Anybody can get behind an avatar and say all of this behind an avatar and not show your face. And here's another good thing. How long do they think this can go? Because eventually, for instance, my channel, not even a year, my channel is not even a year old. But you got Divested Zealot. How long does she think she can go with this disguise? Eventually, to be taken serious, she's going to have to cam up. The moment of truth will have to take place. For instance, you got the pink pill. Now, I don't agree with nothing that the pink pill says, Crystalline Colorism, but you do got to respect the fact that Crystalline Colorism will show her face. So you can't even put a divested zealot in the same sentence with a Crystalline Colorism. At least she will show her face. But this divested zealot is a coward. And she need to take zealot off of her name, because a zealot is a fanatic. And a fanatic doesn't care about who sees them. A fanatic is a fanatic. So they can go to hell with all of that cap. And another thing, when have you seen Divested Zealot do a show by herself? She can't even talk for 30 minutes by herself. I have never seen her do a show by herself. You know why? Because she's not that bright. She's deceitful. She's a liar, but she's not bright enough to do a show where she can talk for 2 hours straight and keep someone's attention. And that's why she needs all of them cheerleaders on the panel. But when you tune into me, when you tune into men like Kevin Samuels, they can hold a show by themselves. When you tune in to Red Supreme, he can hold a show, and a very interesting show by himself. You never see Divested Zealot holding a show by herself. Always 15 and 20 women screaming in the background. And when they say they have smoke night, guess what? It's not a real smoke night. A real smoke night is like me, like right now. If I had a call number set up right now, which I will the next time, I will allow any one of the divestors to call up and go back and forth with me. That's a real smoke night. What divested zealot do, she'll bring someone up and then use them as a piñata, basically to insult them. The first thing she says, "Are you dusty?" Like it opens up with insults. It's not a real smoke night. A real smoke night is you asking a real question. Like, for instance, if she was to bring me up, the first thing I would say to her is, "Why do you call yourself a bitch?" And then have a problem with black men calling black women a bitch. If you got such a problem with it, and if you're so divested from black community, and if calling black women bitches and hoes is something out of Blackistan, then why do you do it? See, that would be the definition of a real smoke night. But she wouldn't entertain that. If you go up there and you ask a question like that, you know what she's gonna do? She's gonna send you right back down to the audience, and then she's gonna talk about you 20 or 50 minutes and laugh and giggle when you can't defend yourself. And that's what a coward does. They hit you from behind the back and they run when you turn around to defend yourself. And that's what these divestors do. They hide behind cameras because in real life, people know who they are. And in real life, people know that they live in the projects. People know that they work at the Family Dollar. Nothing wrong with working at Family Dollar, but that's why they hide themselves. Because anybody can create a lifestyle that they want you to think they live when they are behind a camera. Just like divested zealot. Remember, people, we are living in the era of illusions. And YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all of these filter apps allow people to create any illusion that they are trying to dispense for the world to see. And it's no different with these. I like to call them the avatars. DIEAVATRS. The avatar community. Because that's exactly what it is. It's a community that has no end to it. Because it can't go anywhere because all of them are invisible. And here's another thing. One of the main talking points of the divestor community is they like to say that black men are so violent. But here's the thing. And another thing, they say that black men don't build communities. But the last time I checked, black American men have not ran from their problems. We are still in America, black American men, still in America, but you have immigrants who come to America. I was born in the United States, even though you can hear my accent, not to give away, not to talk about me, but I'm speaking about the foundational black Americans have never ran from America, never ran from their problems. So if one of the components of a real man is not running from your problems, then African American men would be at the top of the list, because black Americans have not ran from their homeland. But these other communities who they say are men have all ran from their homeland. But you never hear them calling Mexican men dusties. But Mexicans, not to speak against them or anything, but just using another hypocritical point that these divestors make, you never hear them talking about Mexican men and how they can't fix up Mexico and Central and South of America for their women and children, and how they have their women and children running across the Rio Grande and climbing over the border wall, and why they can't feed themselves in their homelands and look at their homelands. They're all shitholes and they need to run to the white man to save them. You don't hear them saying that, even though that is a reality. They don't talk about all of the crime in Mexico and the drug cartels in Central and South America and how Mexican men do so much violence against Hispanic women, beheadings, all type of mass shootings and hanging people from bridges. Mexico is one of the most dangerous, lawless places in the Western Hemisphere. But you don't hear them talking about that because they are under the same white supremacy mindset of their white slave masters who always paint black men out as public enemy number one. Black men are not the only men who are involved in gangs. Do they forget that the United States of America was founded by the worst of Europe? They used America as a prison initially to send all of the rejects from Europe over here to the United States. But you don't hear the divestors talking about the early 17th century in America when you had all of these white train robbers who would rob trains like Bonnie and Clyde. That's just one of the famous ones. They don't tell you about all of these outlaws in the West when America was being established who would rob banks, kill people, who would hold other white men and children as hostage, white women and children and their husbands and as hostages, and how they would board trains and take over the train and rob the train conductor. They don't tell you about all of this. But they'll have you believe that the black man is the one who initiated the violence in the United States, when it wasn't the black man. It was the white man who came over here with violence. It was the white man who first started the drug trade over here in the United States. It wasn't a black man. They don't tell you about the mafia families like Al Capone and the Italian mafia in New York and Chicago. They don't talk about how Hispanics are the ones who bring the drugs over the border. They don't tell you about the Mexican gangs and in California and the Mexican gangs in Chicago. They don't tell you about MS-13. You got plenty of violent Hispanic gangs. But for some reason, the white media always remind you that it's black people doing all of the violence, specifically black men. They always make black men the face of violence. This is something that has been occurring before you had the divestor movement. So the divestor movement, they're not doing anything new. They just picking up where the white man left off. I like to say that these divestors are nothing but the reincarnated mammies of slavery. And it's another thing. How can you take the word mammy and redefine it? That would be like taking the word racist and redefining it like something that means good. That would be like saying that calling someone who does a good deed a racist. That's what they do with the word mammy. They take the meaning of a mammy and apply it to black females who stand up for the black community. You see how ass backwards they are? They take the word which historically referred to a house slave black woman who would turn in slaves who were leading a revolt against their slave masters. They take that word that applies to the sellouts and they took it and applied it to the black women who still have knowledge of self and who still support their black men. That shows you that they are under a demonic spirit, a wicked Jezebel spirit. trying to redefine the word because they don't want to be called a mammy. But that's exactly what it is. That's exactly who they are. Divested zealot, you are the mammy. And she would never go head up with me. And if any of you are subscribed to her, tell her about me. Tell her to let me call up to her channel. She would never do that. Because any receipt that she can show about some black man doing some degradable thing, I could do the same thing. In fact, they bring up that incident about the black man who obviously he was they don't tell you that a lot of these incidents that they show are people who are mentally deranged. They don't tell you that. Just like she is mentally deranged to say that she hate little boys. She said she hate little black boys. I got the video on my channel. She said when she's at her family gatherings, don't come and hug her around her waist because she hate little black boys. Evil. So these women, they've been led by demonic spirits. So to get back on my point, you see, they don't call out the violence that these other races do, nor do they speak about the high infancy mortality rates in the black community that black females do when it comes to abortion. They don't talk about how many young black girls who black females aborted who never were given a chance to live. They don't speak on that. No, I remember what I was saying now. They like to talk about this incident of a black man who threw fecal matter on this woman. But if Divested Zealot would ever call me, I got receipts too. I just been saving it. But I'm not about trying to make black females look bad before the public. What would I gain out of that? Nothing. But if I wanted to, I could do a show like Tommy Sotomayor. I could do that. I got a video right now of a black woman taking a shit inside of a store. You think Divested Zealot would show that? No, she's not going to show that. But she will show if a black man did it, because she want to paint an image to other black females that they shouldn't respect their man. Because you know why? Because Divested Zealot is the byproduct of slavery. So none of this stuff surprises me that in 2022, just imagine if you live in 1822, would you think that 200 years later, you would have black women like Divested Zealot who exist in the world today? Why is it that black women are the only ones with these divested movement and trying to separate from their men? You don't find that in other communities of women. You know why? Because these other communities of females, they are not byproducts of slavery. Slavery is the main component that turned these women out. Divested Zealot has been turned out by the white man. And the other ones that are like her, they have been turned out by the white man. How can they say with a straight, honest face that white man is better when he's running a site called gaggers.com that they have yet to speak about? Why haven't she did a 2-hour channel talking about ghetto? And here's the thing, the white men on gaggers.com, they know that these black women are so much into white male worshiping that they don't even have a problem with showing their face. And here's another thing I discovered. You know that the lawyer who works for gaggers.com, he's married to a black woman. I wish I had his name on hand. I wish I had his name on hand right now. But he's married to a black female. The lawyer for ghettogaggers.com, who handles all of their legal cases. He is a white man married to a black female. So that just shows you how black women will never raise a hand against their slave master. And they will do the biddings. They will do the biddings for their slave master. Just like divested zealot. She don't got to get paid. Someone said, oh, she's an agent. I don't believe she's an agent. She's not an agent. She's not getting paid by no white man to spew hatred against a black man. What she is, she is a victim and a byproduct of slavery. And at this point, you can't even call her a victim. She has chosen which direction she wants to take in life. So she is an enemy, but she don't want to come out like a true enemy and show her face. So therefore, you got to say that divested zealot is a sniper, because a sniper in a war, they don't show their face. Divested zealot is the type of woman, she'll smile in your face and talk shit behind your back. I guarantee you in her everyday life, she has friendships with mammies. I guarantee you that she is attracted to black men sexually. It's impossible for a black woman or a black man not to be sexually attracted to the members of your own race. Impossible for any person of any race not to be attracted to the members, to the sexual opposites within their own race. It's impossible. So when she say that she don't like black men and she don't find black men attractive, that's a lie. It's impossible. In fact, I don't date white females, but I would sit up here and lie to you if I said that I haven't seen an attractive white woman who I found sexually attractive. I would be sitting up here lying to you if I said that I've never seen a sexually attractive Hispanic woman. So likewise, when they say that, oh, I'm not into black men, they are lying. This woman is a bald-faced liar. She even told a lie on me one time, because I remember speaking on her show and she didn't want me to come on a panel, and she said that the name of my channel was, I named it after some female. She did it just to get laughs. She said, I got someone in a back channel right now named something like Divested, some female name, which wasn't even true. She just said it to lie to her audience just to get a laugh. They believed her and they started laughing just because she was saying it, and they look up to her. So these divestors, this is nothing but a case of the blind being led by the blind. Because if anything, if they are looking at her as a leader, then they are showing us why men were created to lead. Because divested zealot cannot build any homes. She cannot protect black women. None of these women can protect themselves. If men really wanted to take every woman on the earth as slaves, they could do it, because men got the physical strength. So if she thinks that she is a leader, then let her go ahead, because she is just showing us an example of what happens when women try to lead themselves. They lead each other into the hole. Because when you think about the divestment movement, it works against itself. It doesn't procreate black females. It creates biracial children. Because when you get with one of these zaddies, you create colorism. The very thing that they say is such a problem among black females, that's what the divestment community creates. It creates biracial children. So they add on to the problem that they say exists within the black community and colorism.
They love to say that, oh, girl, these black men, they have their preferences. They like lighter skin black females with straight hair, which is a lie. As a matter of fact, I got a video on my channel where I challenge these women, and I got in the thumbnail, I got the image of a beautiful, sexy, dark-skinned woman. And in the video, I'm saying, you mean to tell me that black men would reject this woman, as beautiful as she is, as nice of a body as she has, just because she's dark skinned? The biggest lie ever told, since they said George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. The biggest lie ever told. Men are not rejecting women based upon some skin color. If that was the case, how is it that Africa still has a billion something people, dark skinned people, someone sleeping with them women? Men don't reject women because of skin color. If that was the case, then the slave master wouldn't be having sex with the slave women who were very dark skinned. So nothing they say adds up. None of it makes sense. Easily shot down. Men like women because women provide men with sex. Simple as that. Not because of no skin color. You think when a woman is giving fellatio to a man, he's gonna say, please stop, sucking me off because you're not light of your skin is not light enough. Or I don't want you to suck me off because you're not dark skinned enough. Or I don't want to stick my penis inside of you because, yeah, your pussy is wet, but the skin around your pussy is not dark enough or light enough. Biggest lie they ever told. And they want to have us believe that. These divestors are creating victimhood status. Now, yes, you have black men who do some, heinous things to black women, but it goes both ways. If we're going to be honest about it, it goes both ways. Of course, you will have, within any race, you will have the men as the perpetrators of the most violence against the females, because men are physically stronger than women. So if you research the white community, you'll see that white men do more violence against white women because they are stronger than white women, because men are physically stronger than women. If you did your research, you will see that adults do more violence against children, even though you have cases of children doing violence against adults. But the perpetrators of violence will always be mostly coming from those who have the most physical strength. It doesn't have anything to do with being a male. You can look at any race and the men will be the ones who perpetrate the most violence because they are men. At the end of the day, men are the ones who fight wars. The first law of nature is self-preservation. And sometimes in order to preserve self, you may have to attack another group. That's just how life is. When you go into the wild, you see lions fighting hyenas, fighting over hunting ground. But that's not to say that black men are boogeymen because black men injure and harm more black females than black females injure and harm black men. No, that's the same for every race. And then they got this little lie that they like to float around, this thing that every 5.5 hours, black women are dying at the hands of black men. And where they get that from, it doesn't even say that black men are the ones killing black women solely by themselves every 5.5 hours. And that is an old statistic that they are using. So next year, they're going to be using that same statistic. So you mean to tell me that statistics don't fluctuate? You mean to tell me that the only constant is change, but yet this statistic is not fluctuating? Like one day is not 3.2 hours, 1 month is not 4.8 hours, but it's just a straight line 5.5 hours from here to the end of time. Because I've been hearing this thrown around for the past 6 months now. So there's no way that it can be the same rate of deaths, 5.5 hours, unless there is some type of unseen conspiracy or some type of unseen operation at hand, killing off black women and keeping it at a level 5.5 hours. Black women are killed every 5.5 hours. It has to be some type of organized, secret, covert mission where you have people purposely taking out black women every 5.5 hours, because a natural statistic would not remain the same for that long. So eventually they're going to have to come up with a new graph, and they're going to have to come up with a different set of numbers instead of keep telling us every 5.5 hours a black woman is dropping dead. Not mentioning to you that within that 5.5 hours, you gotta throw Lauren Smith Field and Asia Menard in the mix of a black woman who was killed every 5.5 hours, and you will see that it wasn't at the hands of a black man. So it's no way that it can only be black men killing black females every 5.5 hours when you have cases like Lauren Smithfield and Asia Menard and many more that go sweep under the rug. Like, they don't talk about the black woman who had her teeth snatched out of her mouth, thrown in a garbage. She was scalped. You know, scalping when the Indians would sometimes scalp their victims. They don't tell you about that case, these divestors. So it's plenty of cases where you have white men killing black women in very, very grotesque ways. So they don't fit that within their 5.5 hour scheduling. So I need you divestors to get your numbers right, If you're going to quote it, then quote it correctly. Quote it and tell us that it's not just black men, it's also white men, Hispanic men, because the paperwork speak for itself. And I'm going to close out with this. Now, these divestors, at the end of the day, as much as they talk about, excuse me, my throat going dry now. As much as they talk about black men, we are the gods of the divestor movement. And without black men existing, you cannot have no swirling to take place in this world. Let me tell you what I mean. Because mostly when a white man deal with a black female, when they do their swirling and their divesting, they like to go for the very dark-skinned black females. You know, the thin vegetarian ones who wear their natural hair and got a flower behind their ear. That's who the white men usually go after. They like the skinny, petite, dark-skinned black females who talk with that fake white girl valley accent. That's who they go for. Now, the divestors, they don't tell you that the only man who can produce that type of woman that the swirling white men really, really sought after is a black man. A black man with a black woman is the only way a true black woman can be produced. So when you think about it, if we as black men can be compared to a car manufacturer, and let's just say that we produce Volvos and let's say they are divestors, they are the customers. The only place they can get Volvos from is the Volvo manufacturer. So if that's the only place where you can get the Volvo from, then how can you talk trash about the Volvo, the car that you love so much? So my point is, black men are the only ones who can produce black women for white men to have sex with. So how can they talk trash against the generator of black females? Because black men carry the seed, the sperm that produce black females. So we are the god of their movement. So to the divestors, don't bite the hand that feed you. Because until white men can produce black females with a black woman, then your movement cannot exist without us. Because you need a black man in order to have a black daughter. And for the white men who love to swirl, the black man must exist in order for him to sleep with a black woman. That's simple, that a child can understand that. They need us. We don't need them. They need us for their movement to exist, especially the dark-skinned females that the white men love to play out their slave fantasies upon. He can't produce that. He can't produce that by sleeping with divested zealot or Cynthia G. He can't produce what he really desires. They can only get it from us black men. Only thing that a divestor and a white man can produce is a biracial Halle Berry looking girl. Nothing wrong with Halle Berry, but they can only produce what they call colorism. They can only produce a child that they say is our preference. The colorist, light-skinned, straight hair type of mixed breed. But their movement is not based upon mixed breeds getting with white men. It's based upon unmixed black females getting with white men. So if the black man, if they want to see the black man die out, then guess what? Their movement dies out. They can't exist without us. And once, let's say if divested zealot had her way, because she said that she wished that black men didn't exist. I even heard her say that she don't care if the black race goes extinct. Yes, she said that. She said she don't care if the black race goes extinct and that she wished black men didn't exist. So if that's the case, the divestor movement, if they had their way and if black men like myself, if we did not exist, then guess what? That means the divestment movement dies out as well. Because after 2 and 3 and 4 generations of mixing with white men, by getting away from black men, but their movement also promotes black female femicide. Because if you don't mate and have children with black men, then if you keep mating, as soon as you mate with a white man, that child is no longer a black woman. And if you teach that same doctrine to that child of that mixed breed relations, of that interracial relationship, then that child would look even more whiter. And then you will white out the entire black female side of the black race. So divested zealot is teaching femicide, even though she is saying that she is against femicide in Blackistan. So her solution is to create a movement that ultimately encourages the deletion of black women. And if they really believed in this divestment crap and that they feel safer around white men, then I wonder how it would fare out for them if one of them would move to an all-white town by themselves. A single black woman living amongst white people in an all-white town. You know how many nigger racist epithets would be hurled at them at a daily basis. And you know what they would do? They would just walk around with their head down to the ground like it was back in the civil rights, looking at white people at the tip of their shoes. And then they would see in reality that divested zealot misled them. See, if they was really to play this out in real life, then they would really show their faces. They would wear t-shirts identifying themselves when they were out in public. They should come out with some type of, some type of political platform, identify themselves, come out in the public. I promise you, divestors, if you did that, we're not going to try to approach you. But you see, they're not real about what they're saying, and that's what this whole live stream is about. If they were real, then the biggest sign would be them forming a petition to get ghetto gaggers banned. But they are not real. They wanna talk about black men behind an avatar. But at the end of the day, they still living amongst us. You see, if they was really about being divested, all of them should be creating a movement within a divested movement that would have them getting passports and moving to a European country and being the minority over there in some European country. And we'll see how that'll fare out for them. But you know what'll happen? You'll have more black women getting murdered, more black women getting kidnapped, and divested zealot, you know what? She's not going to show her face. She's not going to say nothing about it. Leading people astray while you sit back and hide behind an avatar and collect cash apps. Because that's all that these women do. They have turned divestment to a full-time job. It's a scam. Then we haven't even talked about how many of them women behind avatars are really white females. As a matter of fact, when I get off of this, I'm gonna do a video where I seen for a few seconds one of the divestors on Divested Zealot panel. She forgot to turn her camera off and her face was revealed. And when I tell you this was a very, very high yellow woman. Now she had the sound, she had the dialect of a black female, but when you seen her face, you could see that this was a highly mixed, a high yellow woman, and she quickly closed her camera. And I guarantee you a lot of them look ambiguous. And some of them can even be white because they're not showing their faces. And I got another video I'm gonna do when Divested Zealot, one of the women on her panel, this is another situation. She forgot to leave her, forgot to turn her camera off, and Divested Zealot quickly told her to turn her camera off. So this is just proof, man, that these women are just, they're full of cap, man. These women are not real, none of them. Nothing but spite and hate. Nothing but a spiteful, hateful movement. It's feminism. This is the ultimate form of feminism. The divestment movement is the ultimate form of feminism. They have out-feminized the white woman feminism movement. At least the white woman feminism movement, it doesn't say divest from the white community, divest from white men. Any race of woman who divests from her men, they are asking for the worst to come to them. And once these black women start telling the world that they don't have no protection, then guess what? They have become open season for more hate crimes and for more kidnappings to take place. Because whether they know it or not. It's a lot of crazy, deranged white people out here who are listening and waiting for an opportunity to approach one of these women who've been listening to these channels just so they can kidnap them and take their organs out of their body. Because when you tell a man that you don't got no male protection and that you're out here in this world all by yourself, nobody cares about you, you're just asking yourself to be a target. And you can't blame the criminal for thinking that. Because you're telling the whole world, I don't have protection, world. And you got all of these crazy men. Do you know that the #1 missing person in America are young black females? Do you think it's black men doing that? No. It's the same people who enslaved and kidnapped black women from the beginning. And you know who that people is. It's white people kidnapping black girls and putting them in the slave trade, the sex slave trade, just like they did at the beginning of the slave trade. How could you not look at them as the #1 culprit when they've already did it for 400 years? You think they stopped slavery? No, they just got they just got better at it. They got better at slavery. Slavery never ceased to exist. Black people are still in slavery in Babylon. You think they got rid of it? You think they got rid of racism? No, they learned how to hide racism. They learned how to make racism even more potent at a higher level in government. You think black women were brainwashed during the time of slavery? Divested zealot and them, they have taken the brainwashing to a whole nother level. And it's only going to get worse because they practice at it. Anything that you practice at, you get better at. So when these women sit on these divestment panels, they get better at being a mammy. These are professional mammies. They practice how to be a Jezebel. They get better at it, just like their white counterparts have gotten better at how to make black people look like public enemy #1. As technology increase, so does the portrayal of showing black men in a negative light. It also increases. And now they got free workers. Talk about capitalism. They got free workers. Divested zealot in them. They got free henchmen that they don't even gotta pay to do their dirty work. The KKK can sit back now. They got divested zealot. They don't need to do anything now. She is still being a slave and don't even know it. Why do I say that? Because she is a slave. You see, the whole purpose for slavery was to make black people feel like they couldn't be anything other than a slave. They was taught not how to read so they could be uneducated, and that the only usefulness for them is to slave. Because if you're uneducated, you can't get a job doing something on a higher level. So when you look at divested zealot, she is a slave to the white man. She is a slave working for free. Do y'all get where I'm going with this? You get my logic? She is doing the work for the white man for free. She is his slave. He used to have to pay to print up newspaper articles to paint black men in a negative image. He used to have to pay for the production of the newspapers. Remember, they used to run the, I'm not old enough to remember to say I actually lived that, but I've heard the older people speak about it, how when Tarzan came out and not Tarzan, but King Kong, that whole movie was about making black men look like rapists. So they would have King Kong was the representation of a black man going after the white man's beautiful blonde-headed woman, Jane. And Tarzan would come and rescue her from the gorilla black man. But you see, in all of that Hollywood production, it cost money to produce those films. So what I'm saying is, divested zealot in them, they do the job that the white man used to have to pay to be produced for free. That is the definition of a slave, working to get a job done for the white man, and the white man does not have to pay you for it. So divested zealot, you are a slave. You are a slave woman. They think they're actually educated. They think they're smart. They think they got Harvard degrees. They went to a little community college and think they're the smartest, brightest women in the world. They can put two sentences together and all of a sudden they think they are so above black men. But no woman is above the men of her race. That goes for any race of woman. The white woman is not above the white man. The Asian woman is not above the Asian man. And the black female is not above the black man. It's just that black people presently find themselves under a system of neo-colonialism, where your women are under an illusion that they are free. But the only time the white man allows a black woman freedom of speech to feel like she is superior to a man is when it comes to her own race of men. But as you see, none of them will talk about the white men who displayed them before the world on ghetto gaggers. They don't say nothing. So this shows you that the divestment movement is nothing but a case of the blind being led by the blind. You know, I could keep going on and on about this because I got so much to say. And another thing, my last point that I'll make, and I thank everyone for tuning in, they always say that black men don't produce anything and abort your black sons. Okay, tell LeBron James' mother to abort her son. Her son, LeBron James, afforded her a millionaire lifestyle. Tell her that she should have aborted LeBron James. Tell Michael Jordan's mother that she should have aborted him. Look at you got plenty of successful black men. Tell and another thing they say that black men don't create anything and we don't produce anything. First of all, do they read history? Who do they think built America? Who do they think were the first free country in the Western Hemisphere? It was Haiti. Haiti defeated an empire in 1804, the Haitian Revolution. On an island, they defeated one of the largest standing militaries in the world at that time, the French. Who do they think did that? They'll tell you about all of the negative things, but they don't tell you about, even right now as I speak, there's a black man from Zimbabwe. He created a free way to convert energy he created a way to convert radio frequency into energy that can run a television without plugging it up into the wall. He created a car that can run without gasoline and batteries. As a matter of fact, I think I'll do you one. I'll make a video upon it to show you that black men have always been the inventors and the innovators in this world, but the white man has always come and tried to steal what is ours, even our inventions and our intellect. They don't tell you about this. And I'll do a video about it. This man, he's a black man from Zimbabwe, and I believe he needs to be done justice. So I'm going to do a video. He created a TV that you don't even have to plug into the wall. He created an energy. You know how you have like hydroelectric energy and water dams to create energy? He created a way that you can light up an entire city. But if they would ever allow his invention to come forward, it will put the electric company out of business. It will put the light bulb companies out of business. Because the white man, he don't want the world to be easy. He wants everybody to be living in slavery under his caste system, where he is at the top of the caste system, and everybody else who has brown and black skin, they have to fall underneath him, and that anything lighter than black skin is above black people. And somehow divested zealot thinks that divestment movement separates her from the black race. She is fooling herself. You will always be looked at as black. Even if you marry a white man in that white community, you and your child will be spit upon. It's not going to be easy for your child. It's not going to be easy for you. So the divestment movement is not a solution to get away from racism. That's why they like to throw terms around like grapes. In other words, they are calling a black man an ape. But the last time I checked, if an ape carries the seed, if an ape carries the seed and he impregnates a female ape, then a child is also an ape. So if you're calling a black man a grape, then you are subsequently calling your own self a grape. So they have this sick, twisted, demented way of looking at things, thinking that the pot can call the kettle black when both the pot and the kettle are black in the same kitchen and under the same system of white supremacy. This is what the white supremacy system has done. It has created this war, this gender war between black men and black females. And it's not going to help any of us solve any of our problems. But one thing that we must do as black men, we got to identify who these divestors are so they can take themselves and their biracial children away from us. So they're going to be in some middle ground because the white community, the system of white supremacy does not accept biracial children. This is what divested zealot does not speak about. They don't accept black women. The only way a black woman is accepted by white men is if she is bending over or on her knees. And you know what I'm referring to. That's the only, or if she is seated looking shameful with a dog bowl placed upon her head like on ghetto gaggers. That's the only time a black female has any relevance to the white community. What do they think? That divested zealot, she's going to lead us over to a community of white people and they're going to build statues of black women in white land. A statue of a black woman sitting next to a white man for white women and children to look up to. A biracial kingdom. Never has there been no biracial kingdom. Come on. They're living a lie. It's a fantasy. They're over there lying to themselves, living a fantasy. If the white man is all it is, and I hate to repeat myself, then where is the justice for Lawrence Smith Fields? Where is the justice? Where is the outcry from white men about the cases of Lawrence Smith Field and Asia Menard? Where is the outcry? Where is the public outcry from white men about getting ghetto gaggers taken down? Where is the public outcry? It's non-existent because they don't have no allies from the white man. And that's why they dodge and duck the topic of ghetto gaggers. If you want to shut a divestor up, the only thing you got to say is ghetto gaggers. They'll be quiet. They don't want to speak about that. It'll shut them up in an instant. So these are the things that they don't want to face. Reality. You got to face reality at some point. You got to face reality at some point. The white man has shown what he feels about the black woman when he was using black women to do experiments upon. I was listening to a brother today, and he was speaking about how black women were used for gynecology experiments. They use black women as mammies to breastfeed little white babies. So these divestors making it seem like the divestment movement is some new phenomenon. No, it's not no new phenomenon. Black women have been raped by men of other races all throughout history. How do you think the populations of Northern Africa, why do they look so different from the Africans on the West Coast and the Africans in Central Africa in the Congo? Because in North Africa, they were invaded by the Arabs. And them Arab Muslims who were invading those northern countries like Egypt and Morocco, and they wasn't saying, I don't want to sleep with these black dark-skinned women because they were dark-skinned. No, they didn't say that. What they did, they created a biracial group of children who followed after the ways of the rapist who raped the black women, and then they adopted an entirely different way of life and culture that exists in North Africa today that's different from the African cultures in West Africa and in the Congo. Now they follow Islam and worship after the white man's Arab religion because they are the byproduct of Arabs who came in and raped black women. So divestment and how it ends up has already been shown historically. It doesn't end up with the black woman sitting on some throne next to the man she divested with. No. They don't tell you about the fallout which will incur if their way really became the reality. Then they would have to deal with white women fighting for their rightful position. So you cannot run from nature. You were created for a black man, just like a black man was created for a black woman, just like a white woman was created for a white man. You can't reinvent the will of nature. Tigers were created to be with tigers. Lions were created to be with lions. You can't reinvent the will of nature and expect a positive outcome. It does not work like that. And lastly, I want to speak upon, you see, again, they think divestment is a new phenomenon, but when white men had full access to black women during slavery, why were they not protecting black women then from slavery? Why were they not giving white women the freedom that they say that Blackistan does not give them today? Why wasn't a white man giving them that freedom during slavery when he had full access to black women? Why haven't none of these zaddies, why have none of them gave black women the reparations that they deserve? Why? If he has you in his highest interest, then why isn't he giving you none of that money and none of that interest that has accumulated for years and years due to not being paid for all of the free labor that your ancestors participated in? They don't have an answer to that question. You can hear a rat piss on cotton because they don't have an answer to that question. And when white people sit back and listen to Divested Zealot, they laugh. Because imagine if you heard a white female talking about leaving the white community and that she was going to hop over the fence and divest into the black community. That would be the biggest joke ever. So why isn't it considered a joke when you hear women like Divested Zealot saying that she's going to hop over the fence and divest over to the white community and leave Blackistan? Imagine a white woman saying she's going to leave Whiteistan, and come over to Blackistan. And life is going to be so much better for her. It would be a joke. So imagine a room full of white, and I guarantee you that they sit back and they laugh at Divested Zealot and the rest of her Jezebel avatar. And they sit back and they laugh. They laugh and like, look at this. Look at this debacle, this theatrics. Look at this foolishness. People from other races, they hear this and they laugh. It is ridiculous. The divestment movement is the biggest minstrel show ever conducted in the history of mankind. It is a minstrel show. It don't get no more blackface than that. And I gotta be honest with you. Sometimes I listen to the show and I laugh because it's so sad that sometimes it's funny. And I'm not saying that it's sad because I want these women to change their ways. No, once you go over to that divestor side, don't ever come back. You cannot be redeemed. Non-refundable. You are a woman that was purchased by the slave master, and he can keep the receipt, the bill of sale, all of the copyrights. He can have you. Don't ever come back because you're poison. Only thing they would do is poison the rest of the women. Birds of a feather flock together, and they should flock together. So in a way, I am glad that this divestment movement exists. But the only thing is, I just wish and I hope, and I'm going to speak this into reality. The face of Divested Zealot, it will be revealed. I am speaking it into existence. Her face will be revealed. And when it does, we're going to have the biggest laugh. I mean, we're going to have the biggest comedy showcase ever. We're going to finally see who we've been dealing with. This little fat, short, ugly, 80-something-year-old woman. And all of them divestors, they're going to feel so embarrassed with their head sunk in between their shoulders when her face finally reveals. And then everybody will see that, yes, you know what? The Alpha Black Lion was telling the truth. This is an old, ugly, hunchback woman who is not married to no white man. And they're going to be so embarrassed. They're going to be so embarrassed when that day comes. But I think I'm going to end this video right here and now. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments below once this live stream published. Let me know if you would like to see me do more of these in the future. Next time we can I can even have a call-in number to the show next time. Just let me know. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know. I didn't realize I've been on for like 1 hour and 50 minutes almost now. Well, this is just proof in itself that I can hold a panel by myself. Look at me, divested zealot. I can entertain people, not with empty rhetoric. I didn't need no flashcards. I didn't need no videos that's gonna play for 5 minutes. I didn't need to tear down the image of no black female. I didn't need to do any of that, and was capable of holding an intellectual, very informative live stream for 2 hours by myself. I didn't need a guest on the show. I can stand on my own 2 feet because I got the brain and the smarts to do it, and I'm a black man. But you can't do this. You can't hold a show and talk for 15 minutes by yourself. As a matter of fact, I want everybody to do this. When the next time you go watch a divested zealot live stream, you will notice that she don't even do 20 minutes worth of speaking. It's mostly the guests that are doing all of the talking. The only thing that she is doing is pretending like she has this concern so she can get easy, free money without having to put forth any effort. That's all she is doing. She is just running a show so she can get cash apps, and she has figured out that she can let the panel members bring the life to the show without her having to put forth much effort because she don't have anything to speak about. So she let all of these guests on the panel do most of the talking. And she's very rude to a lot of them. I don't even see how they can put up with her. I've seen her shut people off and move them down to the audience in the middle of their conversation. And very evil, wicked woman. But enough about that, Jezebel. Tell me what y'all think about this in the comment section below. This is the Alpha Black Lion, and we're going to have more of these coming for you in the future. Next time, I'm going to actually do a call-in show, and I will challenge divestors to come up to the panel and speak. So with that, this is the Alpha Black Lion signing out. Alpha Black Lion roar. Hit the like, share, and subscribe, and share the videos and help make this channel go viral. And this is the Alpha Black Lion saying peace. And to all of you, thank you for watching and tuning in, and just be on the lookout because in the future we will have more of these live streams for your viewing pleasure. And with that, I am signing out.